Horton swinging away and socks this to deep left field. That is gone! Bryson Horton.
That one's intercepted at the 50-yard line. Wow. 1 man to beat. He's up to the 30, 35. He's going to run it all the way himself into the end zone for a touchdown.
Sierra Smith quickly worked around, feeding the hot hand. Jasmine got it! 3 threes for number 23.
Who finds Edwards? Edwards needs to get the shot up. Pulls up a deep three. Able to knock it down!
The counterattack. Here comes Carla Ramos forward looking for Noelle Lemus. She's gotten by the last defender. Valentine comes out. Noelle dribbles the keeper. Lemus! Goal! And that is a DVC victory. And the Vikings are champions of California! Welcome, faithful followers of the Green and White, to DVC Vikings Live Radio on Mixler.com and the Mixler Live app. This is Joe Hickey coming to you from the Ventura College Sports Plex, home of the 2019 3C2A Basketball State Championships. Tonight, we're bringing you the third quarterfinal of 4 in the women's bracket, and honestly, the only one that matters to most of us, as the first of the top seeds takes the floor. It is the Queens of the North, the number 1 seed DVC Vikings, battling the South's number 4 Ventura Pirates. Now, despite Coach Ramaundo Vaughn's women's exalted status as one of the best 2 teams in the state, they have perhaps the unluckiest draw possible, as by sheer seeding happenstance, they are forced to take on the tournament's host school. Their opponents, who are 13-2 on this floor in 2018-19, are also 9-1 this century in Elite 8 games. Ned Mercedic's 7-time state champion Pirates seem in a number of ways to be a pretty even matchup for the state finals debutantes DVC. Like the Vikings, they play tidy, committing only 13 turnovers per game, 4th fewest in the state, and less than 2 more per game than second best DVC. Both teams are in the top 10 in scoring defense and in the top 20 in opponents shooting from the field and from 3. All of that would suggest that tonight's game, like Saturday's victory over Sac City in the Sweet 16, could be another 50-50 affair. And I don't just mean a metaphorical coin flip. I'm talking about the final score. However, while both teams pride themselves on shutting down their opposition, they couldn't possibly have more different styles for accomplishing that shared goal. Ventura, despite turning the ball over less than all but 3 teams in the state, has somehow lost the turnover battle on average this season. They are the worst team, and I'm not being hyperbolic, in Southern California at creating turnovers, either through steals or forcing mistakes. Their goal appears to be to slow the game down, stay conservative, and avoid giving away a good look by forcing the issue. By contrast, DVC's style is all about aggression, forcing a turnover roughly once every 88 seconds this season, and leading all remaining teams in the tournament in steals. And those thefts could come from practically anywhere on the floor. 4 of the top 36 players in California in steals per game wear green and white, led by NorCal Player of the Year Zaria Hendricks, who's 5th in the state. Coach Vaughn himself has remarked that teams frequently underestimate the Vikings on site, but are shocked by the fury that they play with. The pressure also shows up in how DVC get their points. Yes, the Vikings shoot 5 percentage points better from the field and from 3 than the Pirates do, but even where Ventura seem to have an advantage, they really don't. They're 7th in the state in free throw percentage, which sounds great, but the Vikings have actually hit 34 more freebies than the Pirates have this year. It's pace and pressure at both ends of the court for the green and white. DVC will drive at you with reckless abandon, drawing contact and getting to the line. They'll get into your passing lanes and pick off more ill-advised tosses than any team still playing. And they will hound you relentlessly until you make a mistake. And it's a good thing they have all of this to fall back on, too. Because in the playoffs, that exceptional shooting, it's hit a bit of a slump. DVC are shooting 8 percentage points below their season average from the field and just 23% from 3 in their 2 postseason games. It's a far cry from their 3rd in the state 35% from the regular season. And it's been particularly hard on the Vikings' record-setting long bomber, Janae Anderson, who's been nursing a knee injury and has shot just 5 for 24 from deep in the playoffs. Their scoring output is down, and they've had to really rely on that suffocating defense to get here. Against Mission, a decisive plus 24 in the turnover column, and a massive triple-double by Zaria Hendricks featuring 24 boards got the job done. And after a season of being one of the less heralded Vikings, Leilani Moncrief has come up big, leading the team in scoring through 2 rounds, shooting 60% from the field and swatting away 5 opposition shots for good measure. And so the big questions entering tonight are, who's going to control the pace, and can the Vikings find their shooting mojo again? If the answers to those questions are DVC and oh yeah, it could be a really long night for the home faithful. but if Ventura can sustain the Vikings' pressure and stay disciplined on defense, they seem just as capable as Sac City was last weekend of making Coach Vaughn's women sweat this one out. We've got just 1 minute and 19 seconds left on the scoreboard before introductions get going down here, so we're going to take a break. Vikings fans, a Final Four berth is on the line. For Ventura, it would be their 10th in the last 20 years. For DVC, a glorious first taste of that elusive round. Lineups and tip-off of Ventura DVC, live from sunny SoCal, are just around the corner. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Ventura, Vikings fans. DVC getting ready to tip it up with the Pirates of Ventura College. In mere moments, Leilani Moncrief is at the center. She is joined, of course, by 4 guards in DVC's starting lineup: Daisha Abdelkader, Janae Anderson, Zaria Hendricks, and Sierra Smith. She jumps it up with LaDaisha Merriweather, but it falls to DVC's Daisha Abdelkader in possession. We'll give you the starting lineup for Ventura in just a moment, but we are underway. Sierra Smith controlling things at the point. Sees the cut from Janae Anderson. Takes a 3. A little bit off target. It's a nice open opportunity. Moncrief goes for the board, but can't corral it. 14 seconds in, DVC take that first quick shot, but no dice just yet. The inbound about to come from Madison Cianovic. She is the one slightly surprising starter. She is joined by Talia Taufasau, Cici Quintino, Victoria Maciel, and LaDaisha Merriweather. Also a 4-guard look for Coach Ned Mercedic's Ventura College Pirates. That ball tried to put in just under the hoop for LaDaisha Merriweather, touched away by Leilani Moncrief. That'll go out. Vikings to throw it in just a moment. Excuse me, Ventura rather, to throw it in. I knew it started with a V. Taufasau will go over to get that. Ventura in an all-black uniform with orange markings up the sides, white numbers with orange drop shadow, and it looks like, in fact, Cianovic has to come out right away for Emma Larson. I don't know if that was a tactical decision or she seemed to be holding something near her face. I thought maybe she got a contact lens knocked out. At any rate, she takes her seat on the bench, and it is now the starting lineup I anticipated with Larson in that spot. Taufasau, quick pop jumper, no good. Rebound tipped way out to the right side of the three-point line. Emma Larson's got that under control. Thrown back to Taufasau. Daisha Abdelkader trying to track her. Good quick feet, as Ventura have used up 10 of this fresh 30. Still Taufasau on the dribble, waiting for the cutters. Here comes a pick set by Quintino. Taufasau tries to dribble around that. Leilani Moncrief's quick hands, and she's got DVC's first steal. As we mentioned in the beginning, 27 turnovers forced per game, 17 steals. DVC force a mistake roughly once every 88 seconds, but there is a mistake by DVC as Zaria Hendricks takes a few too many steps trying to get started on a drive from the three-point line. And that'll go right back to Ventura. No score so far through 1 minute and 8 seconds. So it is now Taufasau, Quintino, Larson, and Merriweather on the floor for the Pirates. The immediate attempt at throwing it back in, tipped off of Zaria Hendricks, and I think she actually got a touch to Emma Larson. My goodness. Zaria with the hands up, able to bat that back. We'll see it on the replay right here. And indeed, Larson not able to get out of the way of it. And so she touched it out of play. Ball back to DVC. 2 turnovers to 1 so far. Sierra Smith going on a drive. She hits the deck under pressure from Larson. That's our first foul of the day. And Sierra Smith will head to the line. Sierra, the 7th highest free throw percentage in the state. Sorry, she will not head to the line. What am I saying? She didn't actually try a shot. She will inbound. Early nerves for me, hopefully more so than for the Vikings. Zaria Hendricks catches the inbound at the top of the key, drives, now kicks to the left corner for Smith. Back iron, no good. Leilani Moncrief on the board. Moncrief clears out nicely. Back to Smith. Straight on 3 for Janae Anderson. Off target wide left. Moncrief again with the board. Taking advantage of the extra size right now. Ventura does not play most of their tallest players. Hendricks loses control for a moment as she drives through the top of the paint. Manages to get it to Anderson. Now Abdelkader. Rotates back to Anderson, straight on 3! Number 154 of the season. And that gives her sole possession of 5th place all-time among college women's shooters, regardless of level. 154 three-pointers. We are at long last underway in the scoring department. 3-0 DVC on top. Abdelkader, speaking of threes, commits the first foul for DVC. 1 aside. So just to remind you, we've talked a bit about the history. Oh, wait, that's going to have to wait for a second. LaDaisha Merriweather fed underneath the hoop nicely by Quintino. A long bomb pass into the front court. She absorbs another foul. That one's going to be called against... It's a little echoey up here and hard to hear. Okay, it appears to be Jasmine Kong who's already entered. That can't be right. We don't have a 23 on the floor right now. Well, we'll see what happens there. Apparently that must have been Smith. I think they've gotten it right. LaDacia Merriweather, meanwhile, misses the first free throw as they correct that over at the scorer's table. We've talked a bit about this three-point history. Janae now at 154 in sole possession of fifth place. Sierra Green waits 4 away as Merriweather gets Ventura on the board with the first free throw. Rebecca May one past that, and then the national JUCO record of 173 is going to require DVC to get to the final for that to fall. But Janae Anderson off to a good start. She's 1 for 2 early on. She has suffered so far, 5 for 24 in the playoffs. Sierra Smith, beautiful spin move around Quintino, but can't get the layup to fall. Quintino brings it up the court here for Ventura College. Sierra Smith able to get a foot or an elbow or something to it. Bounces out of play, apparently last touched by Sierra. It'll be a throw in here from the right side for Ventura in the front court. 3-1 your score. So far, DVC trying to get their run going, although admittedly Ventura got their 1 point off of a long bomb pass into the front court, a little against the tendencies that we spoke of in the pregame. Ball back to Taufasa. Abdulkader on her again. Now working her way to the right side. Couple stutter steps. Lays it off glass. No good wide to the right side. A little bit of an errant pass there, but it does finally find Abdulkader, and DVC bring it forward. There's Zaria Hendricks. She's going to pop for 3. That one's way off target, but Zaria comes up and gets her own rebound on the long bounce. Appears that the referee needs a quick stop here to reset, or rather not reset the shot clock, as Zaria did not even get iron on that one. 21 to shoot for DVC, 7:17 to go here in quarter number 1. Sheree Mitchell, by the way, along with Amanda Weber and Devon Brazier, our 3-person officiating crew. Brief conversation to make sure we're right on that. 21 seconds on the shot, and they go to 17 instead. 7:17 to go, 17 on the shot clock. Ball inbounded for DVC to Sierra Smith. Vikings up 2. Abdulkader over on the right side. Holding, waiting for the cut from Janae Anderson. They get her free behind a pick. Janae for 3! She's got 2 early. And the doldrums that we've been seeing for the last couple of games seem to be at rest. Look out here. Ventura having a hard time getting it across the half-court line, and they will not. The half-court press for DVC. Able to bear fruit. They managed to trap. We'll see it over here on the replay in a moment. They managed to trap Emma Larson. She lost control of the ball, but by the time she finally got it back, she had about 2 seconds to get it across the line. Don't know if she realized it. Gave it back to Quintino. And then Quintino did not have time to find a teammate. 6-1 Vikings, 3 minutes and 10 seconds gone in the first quarter. Zaria Hendricks, top of the key, finds Anderson. Puts it on the deck now, steps inside the arc. Now back to Sierra Smith on the left side. Emma Larson faces her up. Back to Zaria Hendricks, top of the key. Now looking to drive to the right. Little underhanded lay-in off glass. And Zaria's on the board. 2 points for her, 6 for Anderson. Sierra Smith managing to take that ball away. This is going to require a consultation. You might want to send it to Secaucus, so I'll try to recreate this here, and I'll see it on the replay in a moment. Sierra Smith batted the pass away. I believe she had a foot on the line when she swatted at it, put it off of CC Quintino, and then it may have even hit Sierra again before it hit the ground out of bounds. So they get the call right. They give it to Ventura, even though the initial direction was to give it to DVC. 6:20 to go, 8-1. Here's a long pass inside to Emma Larson. Great dime by CC Quintino, and that makes it 8-3. That one coming from the left side of the three-point arc all the way to the bottom right side of the paint. Zaria Hendricks working her way in on the left side, no good. LaDacia Merriweather picks up the rebound, and Zaria is going to be whistled for a foul. That is one thing that occasionally has been an issue for the Vikings, is getting Zaria in particular into foul trouble. She and Daisha Abdulkader, so necessary to have on the floor at almost all times. Vikings at the moment have committed 3 team fouls in the opening 4 minutes, so risking the possibility of sending Ventura to the line to shoot free throws a lot more than they'd like. We mentioned before they're the 7th-ranked CCCAA team in free throw percentage. Quintino working on Sierra Smith, who gets picked off illegally by LaDacia Merriweather. Foul going the way of Ventura, and DVC will get the ball back. So an early look right here at the turnovers. It is 3-1, about to be 4-1 once it updates on the live stats here on CCCAAsports.org. There it goes, 4-1. DVC with 5 points off turnover so far of their 8. That happens to be the size of their lead, 8-3. So the Vikings so far following exactly the script they were hoping coming into tonight's encounter. Daisha Abdelkader gets the pick from Moncrief. Now drives to the right on Merriweather. Lays it off glass, off back iron, no good. Moncrief's going for the board, but I think she smacked it off of her own teammate and out of bounds. That'll go back to Ventura. Emma Larson to inbound in a moment here. Still very curious about what Coach Mercedes... Oh, never mind, that's going to have to wait. Long bomb pass to Taufasau. She's working underneath, and Leilani Moncrief with the block. She's got 2.5 per game so far in the playoffs, 2 per game throughout the course of the season. One of the best in the state at that. Here's another chance for Anderson. This one is short front iron. No good. Ball back in command of Ventura College. CC Quintino coming up the court. Quintino, their leading scorer, with 16.8 per game. She goes up against Sierra Smith. No foul given. She collapses to the floor. Ball out off of Smith, and it'll stay right here. Quintino, 37th in the state in scoring, and the leader for this team, 16.8 points per game. She's 40th in the state of California in three-point percentage, so watch out for her from deep. She is their chief threat, along with Taufasau, who also is shooting exactly 34.6%, and therefore is also 40th in the state. Emma Larson receives the inbound from the right side in the corner. Over to Taufasau. 10 to shoot. Starting to work in on Abdelkader. Now at 7. Tries to drive and lay it up with the left hand and floats that one in neatly for Ventura's 4th and 5th points. Daisha Abdelkader working her way up to the right side. Now back to Jasmine Kong, who entered in the meanwhile. My apologies, it's going to be a little harder to see substitutions in this game. Sierra Smith, great cut around Emma Larson. Got a pick from Moncrief, who is playing that part of her game exceedingly well in the early going. Sierra's on the board now, 10-5 DVC, 4:32 to go in the quarter. LaDacia Merriweather finds Quintino, working around Moncrief, lays it up off glass and in. So Ventura starting to get underway, and maybe you're starting to hear the extent to which this is hostile territory right now. Not supposed to have to play road games when you're the number 1 seed, but that's how it works. That's how the cookie crumbled. Daisha Abdelkader working on Taufasau. Back to Smith. Not a lot of motion right now for DVC. Smith, step back jumper, off target. Merriweather with the board. Quintino working forward again. Finds Larson leaking out on the left side. Has a little trouble getting control of it. She would have had an open 3 if she had. Quintino trying to take on Sierra Smith. Pick from Merriweather. Sierra manages to navigate that. Now drop down low to Merriweather, and a foul committed, I think, by Jasmine Kong. And that's going to send Ventura... No, not to the line. Does give them a fresh 30 seconds, but it will be an inbound. 3:48 to go. Vikings up 3. The early story so far, DVC getting the turnovers that they love so good. And Janae Anderson coming out shooting. 2 for 4 so far after going 5 for 24 in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. Down low, the pass for the number 12. That is Sijanovic back into the game. She receives, tries to lay up, and absorbs contact. That's another foul against DVC. And with 3:47 left, that is 5 team fouls. And the Vikings are going to be in the, the Pirates are going to be in the bonus. Sijanovic, a 75% free throw shooter on the season. She'll shoot 2. Hits the first one. So we mentioned this Ventura team here. That is the most emphatic good thing about them, really, is the 68.8% from the free throw line. Good for 7th place in the state. They're also pretty good at holding teams in check on the defensive end, only giving up 54.2 points per game. Just a 1/10 of a point more than the Vikings do, as Sijanovic hits the second, and it's now 10-9. So far, DVC have gotten the steals, but I will say, at least in terms of scoring, Ventura making the Vikings play mostly half-court offense. They've demonstrated they can win that way, but it is not their preferred way to play. Pass out to Janae Anderson, and a moving pick by Zaria Hendricks, and that's 2 on Zaria. Hendricks and Kong both with a pair of fouls in the first quarter, and that could be problematic. Zaria with just 2 points so far tonight. Inbound comes to the number 3, Quintino. Quintino backing her way in against Jasmine Kong, runs into her own player. It's the number 25, Fallendy, and she uses that pick. First she picked herself off, and then managed to avoid the defender and floats in a jumper, and it's 11-10 Ventura. Zaria Hendricks fed at the top of the key. Now over to Moncrief, left baseline, dribbles in, loses control, gets it back, floats it too long. Rebound comes to the number 3, Quintino. Taufasau, back to Quintino. 3 minutes to go, and Ventura with their first lead of tonight's encounter. Game so far feeling a little bit like LA Tech versus Delta did. Quintino shooting, foul whistled against Leilani Moncrief. And she'll go to the line. Quintino also somebody you don't particularly want to see at the line, 75% on the season. And she's not even their leader. Taufasau of the regulars is their leader at 76%, and Robin Prince, who doesn't play enough to end up on the leaderboards for the 3C2A, has shot 88% from the line. Commentators curse, though, as she rims out the first one. It stays 11-10 right now. As far, Janae Anderson with 6, Hendricks 2, Smith 2. On the other side, Quintino leading her team with now 5 as she hits the second free throw. Taufasau, Sijanovic, Larson with 2 each. Merriweather with 1 from the line. That adds up to 12. Good stuff. Daisha Abdelkader on the dribble. Kicks out to Janae Anderson. They forgot all about her. This one wide left, though. Zaria Hendricks crashes for the board, but can't get it. Here comes Quintino again with a head of steam up the floor. Drops this one deep for the 25, Fallendy, but Moncrief intercepts. Ahead quickly for Zaria Hendricks. This is more like it. Hendricks driving, and they give the charge against Zaria, and she's got 3 fouls by the 2:33 mark of the first quarter. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That's going to be it for Zaria for quite some time, you've got to imagine. Amani McCrary is going to enter. Amani, someone who played her freshman season with DVC 4 years ago and has been wrestling with injuries ever since. Tore both ACLs in the span of the last few years. It's robbed her of a bit of her athleticism, but she is an absolutely whip-smart player out there. So after all of that, she does get the reward of getting some playing time even here in the first quarter of a state quarterfinal. Unfortunately, it's in place of the NorCal Player of the Year, who's in foul trouble. Three-pointer for Quintino, misses front iron. Down low, trying to grab the board is Sijanovic. She has it for a moment. Fallendy gets it back. She can't get it to fall. Now goes all the way back out to Quintino. Stepping into a three, it looked like was Malciel, but she elects not to shoot it. First time we've called her name. Now worked over to the right side for the 22. That's Larisha Russell. Russell gets it back after a couple of touches. Corner, three-pointer, and a foul. Kong has 3. And it's 15-10. And what started so well for DVC is quickly becoming a foul trouble nightmare. Jasmine Kong with 3. Although I do question whether one of those is the one that seems to be erroneously given to her when she wasn't even on the floor. I do hope they're going to check that in the scorebook. In fact, I'll take a look right now. It appears now that they did give one to Sierra Smith. That may be for real. Zaria with 3, Kong with 3, and that is a rough way to start the first quarter against clearly a very game Ventura side. So as we have this stop here with 1:54 to go, we'll tell you a little bit about the road here for Ventura. They have yet to face a single-digit seed until tonight, and they are now taking on number 1 in the North, which is the singlest of digits. Their last win over a team that was in the top 10, either in SoCal or NorCal, was against Mount San Jacinto, who came out as the 7th seed back on December 30th. They do have 2 wins over NorCal teams, however, and one of them will make them very happy because they would be the next opponent if Ventura spring the upset here, and that's the number 3 Northern team, Delta. They also beat City College of San Francisco earlier in the regular season. They've had hardly any trouble so far in the first 2 rounds. They had an 11-point win and a 20-point win over the number 12 and 13 seeds. They were up 13 and 11 at halftime of those 2, so no real trouble. Taufasau so far has been their leading scorer, almost 20 points per game, 12 of 32 from the field. She has been money at the free throw line, particularly just getting there. She's had 17 that she's gotten to attempt, as right now Larissa Russell is getting ready to take the earned free throw for the 4-point play. And she hits that, and it's 16-10. We had it at 10-5 early, and it's an 11-0 run for the Ventura Pirates in, I think, the last 3 minutes. So DVC need to regroup. Jasmine Kong's going to have to stay out there for a little bit. McCrary remains as well. Abdelkader, Moncrief, and Anderson otherwise. Kong receives outside the arc, now drives on the right side, lays up, and scores. No glass, no rim, nothing but net for Jasmine Kong. She's on the board. DVC make it a 4-point game. 1:33 to go in the quarter. Taufasau on the ball. She's joined out there right now by Maciel. Let's see. Maciel, here's Sijanovic. Now back to Taufasau. We'll recap their lineup in just a second. Taufasau trying to lay in with the left hand. No good. Moncrief protects. Janae Anderson comes down with the board. DVC looking to carve into that lead a little more. Anderson comes to a stop, leaves it to Moncrief, driving from the top of the key, laying it up with the left hand, a little short. Rebound claimed by the 25, Fallendy. So it is Taufasau, Falandi, Quintino, Sijanovic, and Maciel on the floor right now for the black and orange. For DVC, McCrary, Moncrief, Anderson, Abdelkader, and Kong. Kong right now on 3 fouls. Needs to be exceedingly careful on the defensive end. 8 to shoot here after a bunch of dribbling by Taufasau. Now over to the 3. Quintino blocked by Moncrief. That's her second. McCrary comes away with it. Amani working her way down the court. Comes to a stop. Seems like Coach Mercedes wanted a double dribble. Nothing given. Kong. Now Moncrief. Stop and pop jumper from the left elbow. And she makes it 16-14. So DVC getting their head back on straight in that timeout. Close it to a 2-point game, but this is looking like the kind of tense encounter that we thought it might be if DVC couldn't run and if this crowd really got into it. Falandi fed down low by Quintino, not able to settle it. Kong able to grab it, and Falandi commits the foul. That ball will go back to DVC with 7.7 seconds left to shoot and a chance to tie or take the lead here with the final possession of the first quarter. Kong will put this in, just rolling it along the ground for Sierra Smith. Here comes Sijanovic. Smith almost loses it. Now comes forward. 5 seconds. Smith driving to the left side. Stops between 2 defenders. Shoots no good. Rebound claimed by Sijanovic, and that's going to end the quarter. So we go to the first break. 16-14. Ventura on top of the Vikings. Get that little ESPN upset alert thing ready, but certainly quite a ways to go. At least another half hour. So at this first quarter break, we'll take a moment to give you a little trivia question. We've decided to pose this to all of our folks here as we are at a state tournament for the first time in a while here for DVC. And here's the trivia question. We encourage you to go on to either the Mixler chat or tweet me at Joe Paul Hick or tweet at DVC_athletics if you think you know the answer to this one. The trivia question is, what is the last DVC sports team to make a state final? And I will tell you there are 2 viable answers depending on how you define a state final. But I've got both of them. Let's see if you guys can get any of them. Again, if you put that into the Mixler chat or if you go over and tweet me at Joe Paul Hick, I'll be taking a look at that at halftime, and we'll get you the answer at the break between the third and fourth quarters, hopefully with a view of the semifinal much clearer and much less disconcerting. So as we recap the stats here at the first quarter break, Quintino leading the scorers on the Ventura side with 5. Janae Anderson's early pair of 3-pointers have her as the leading scorer among everybody at the moment with 6. Larissa Russell has 4 after she had that 4-point play, the 3 and the foul. Otherwise, it's a bunch of 2s. Taufasau, Sijanovic, Larson on the Ventura side, Moncrief, Hendricks, Sierra Smith, and Jasmine Kong on the Vikings side. 1 point for LaDacia Merriweather to finish things up. So far, it's been Ventura going to the line. DVC yet to shoot free throws. Ventura, on the other hand, have now shot a total of 7, and they've made all but 2 of them. Of course, as we said, the big issue here being the volume of fouls being called against DVC. Thus far, just 3 against Ventura. Larson, Merriweather, and Falandi each have 1. For DVC, Moncrief, Smith, and Abdelkader each have 1. But Kong and, most importantly, Hendricks have 3. Hendricks not out there right now. Merriweather dumps to Quintino, who floats the ball in. She's now your leading scorer with 7. And Ventura make it 4 points off the inbound play to start the second quarter. Abdelkader coming up on the floor, joined by Kong, Moncrief, Anderson, and Smith. Smith receives at the top of the key. Now drives to the left side. Hands off to Jasmine Kong. Kong now back to Abdelkader. Open 3 from the right side. Just a little off target. Rebound taken by Quintino. And I'll tell you, I can tell that this is Ventura's pace that we're playing at because I'm not out of breath like I usually am when I call DVC games. Vikings having a hard time forcing those turnovers, and so at the moment the immovable object is defeating the irresistible force. But we will see how long they can resist it. Working the ball around the perimeter is Ventura College. Taufasau gives up the dribble. There's block number 3 for Moncrief. 3 to shoot. Ball back out to Quintino. Nobody's seen it. Taufasau tries a 3, doesn't hit any rim, and that's a shot clock violation. Empty possession for Ventura. DVC will take over. And Amani McCrary back into the game for the Vikings as Kong goes to the bench, and they get both of the 3 foul players out of the game. Small delay here while we wait for Sierra Smith to secure her shoes. We've seen what can happen to Zion Williamson. We don't want any of that right now, especially given how few players the Vikings have to begin with and how many of them are now in foul trouble. Sierra Smith takes the inbound. 8:52 to go in half number 1. Vikings trailing by 4. Moncrief fakes the handoff to Smith. may have warded off, but the foul is given on the floor before the shot by Moncrief. And it is given against, I believe, 24, LaDacia Merriweather. That's 2 on her. That'll bring Fallenby back in for Merriweather. So LaDacia thus far in the playoffs, 8 for 17 from the field. She's averaging not quite 10 points per game, but she has averaged almost 12 boards per game. Moncrief fed underneath by Abdelkader and just does have the touch as she lays that in from about 2 feet. 18-16. Taufasau on it. Throws over to the right side for Sijanovic. Fake the 3. Now it's Maciel. She does as well. Taufasau on it. Anderson trying to hassle her. Work quickly around to the right side. Maciel tries the 3 and she hits. 21-16 Ventura. Victoria Maciel with her first points of the encounter, and she's got 3. Abdelkader. Now Smith at the top of the key. Up comes Moncrief. Again fakes the give. This time the double team doesn't come to Sierra. Moncrief is going to try a 3 and back irons that. Rebound taken by McCrary. Spins around the arrival of Sijanovic and can't finish the layup. Looked like a highlight reel play for a moment there. 21-16 the score remains. 7:49 to go. Out to Maciel. Another open three-pointer for her. She back irons this one and it rolls down the back of the backboard. So Maciel, a 30% three-point shooter on the season, so not a huge surprise that she'd take a shot at that. Taufasau and Quintino, as we mentioned, though, the 35%ers. Sijanovic, 32. They've certainly got the weaponry from out there. The long-range artillery. Sierra Smith controls for DVC. To the right side for Abdelkader outside the arc. Down low to the right post for Moncrief. She turns, shoots from LaMarcus Aldridge range, and drains that one. Moncrief now with 6. Ball in control of Ventura. Sijanovic down to the right elbow, touched away by Moncrief. Blocks, steals, points, she's doing it all. Sierra Smith to Abdelkader, laid up off glass, and it rolls off. Rebound taken by Maciel. Sierra Smith trying to fight for it, but not able to grab. Could have cut it to a 1-point game here. 7 minutes to go. Taufasau. Maciel straight on, about 3 feet behind the arc. Does not shoot. Now gives it to Sijanovic. She takes aim. Very long. Abdelkader the board. Here comes Dacia. Thinking about running. Nope. She'll dish back to Leilani Moncrief. 2-pointer, and she hits beautifully. Leilani Moncrief, the 10th leading field goal percentage shooter in the state of California, and she's showing you why. We said before she's shooting 60% so far in the playoffs. She's now 5 for 8 to begin this game, so that's going to tick up a little bit. Taufasau on it. It's a 1-point game. Ventura leading by that 1 point. Maciel to the right side for Taufasau. Sierra Smith walls her off. Back to Maciel. Pulls up in front of Abdelkader, shoots and hits another 3-pointer. Victoria Maciel now 2 for 3 from 3. She's got 6 points and she's the second leading scorer for her team. Moncrief, meanwhile, leads everybody with 8. That one, apparently there must have been a foot on the line because the scoreboard is reading that as 23-20. I thought she was outside. Sierra Smith driving with the left hand. No good, but she absorbs contact, and that'll send her to the line. That'll be DVC's first free throws, 14 minutes plus into our encounter. We mentioned before Sierra Smith at 80%, the 7th leading free throw percentage shooter in the state. That's who you want at the line if you can have it. Please don't curse her. Hits the first, and it's surprisingly quiet in here considering that this is Ventura's home floor, I gotta say. I got quiet because I'm used to doing that. I wasn't expecting anyone else to cooperate. Robin Prince into the game now for Ventura, as is Emma Larson, joined by Quintino, Maciel, and Taufasau. Smith hits the second, and it's again a 1-point game. So apparently that last shot by Maciel judged to be a 2-pointer. I don't know if they're going to go back and look at the video on that, because we do have it. SoCal Sports doing a fantastic job. They've set me up with the monitor, so many, many thanks to them. Michael Zepeda. My new friend Emery over here. 3-pointer from the left corner from CC Quintino. No good. Amani McCrary comes down with the board. Amani working her way across the half-court stripe. DVC a chance to take the lead on this possession. Looks to drive. Lays it up with the right hand. No good. Moncrief shoved away as she tries to get the rebound. No foul given. Taken by Quintino. Quintino, that might have been an over and back, and indeed it is. Dacia Abdelkader hassling her at the best possible time. Quintino might believe that Abdelkader fouled her. We'll take a look real quick here. It did take a bounce on the happy side. In fact, her largely seemed to be because her entire body was on one side of the line and then the ball was on the other. All right, so Sierra Smith in control. DVC another chance to try to take the lead. Halfway through quarter number 2. Leilani Moncrief drives, spins, puts it in off glass, and the Vikings are on top again. 24-23. 5 minutes to go in half number 1. Leilani, our first player into double figures. Now 5 for 8. Three-pointer from CC Quintino in the left corner, and she hits that. She gets her first three-pointer on her third attempt. Nobody defending, though. Sierra Smith coming forward, and she's whistled for a charge. And I'm going to need to see that. I could have sworn the defender was in the restricted area. Here comes my replay. Sierra Smith with a head of steam. Emma Larson, did she get her feet set? That is spectacular defending. That is exceedingly well done by Emma Larson. I am sorry to have impugned her character or her foot placement. 26-24 after the Quintino three-pointer. She and Moncrief leading all scorers with 10 right now. 4:30 to go. Ventura up 2. We've got ourselves a game. First tight contest we've really had at this stage. Well, actually, Delta LA Tech was pretty close at this point. Let's see if DVC can do what Delta did in that game. I'll tell you a little about that later. Quintino with only 8 to shoot, forced into a difficult pass by 2 DVC defenders. Abdelkader intercepts, lays it in off glass, and absorbs the foul. And she's headed to the line to try to give DVC the lead. 26-26. First points for Dacia Abdelkader, but she's already got 5 assists. Dacia, somebody who has not led the team in scoring terribly many times, but when she does, it's almost always in crucial games. 29 against Delta to lead all scorers, 18 against Sac City last week to get DVC to this round. She misses the free throw. Moncrief thought she tipped the rebound off of a Ventura player and out of bounds, but our official, Vaughn Brazier, does not agree. 4:07 to go. We are tied up, 26-26. A little surprising for Abdelkader to miss that free throw. She is 70% on the season. Third-ranked shooter for DVC from the charity stripe. Here's Taufasau working on Abdelkader. Tries to take her to the left baseline. Now cuts around the pick from Falandy. Dishes to Maciel. Look out. Another three-pointer. In and out for Victoria. DVC recover. Moncrief the rebound. Here comes Sierra Smith again at a million miles an hour. Fakes the drive. Now gives to Moncrief. She'll shoot from just behind the three-point line. Behind the free throw line, rather. And she hits that. The important point is she hits it. But it is only 2 points. 28-26 DVC. Moncrief with 12. We said in the open, she's been the Vikings' leading scorer here in the playoffs. She ranked 4th in that list in the regular season, but her size paying big dividends for DVC against a much smaller Ventura team. With Falandy out there, there's at least somebody to contend with her, but you have to assume Falandy has not been playing big minutes for a reason. Meanwhile, Dacia Abdelkader commits a foul. Not a shooting one, so that'll go back to Ventura with a fresh 30. 3:18 to go, 28-26 DVC. I mentioned before what Delta did. Oh, dear. Ticky-tack foul committed by Janae Anderson against Quintino. That's going to be the 3rd team foul for DVC. Luckily, just the 1st against Janae. Coach Vaughn not thrilled. Here comes the inbound in a moment. To Quintino, right back to Taufasau. Another fresh 30 for Ventura. Quintino takes the open 3 in front of Abdelkader, misses it front iron. Dacia gets the long board, and here she comes. Dacia, head of steam, up off glass, no good. Rebound from Moncrief, tries again as she's falling, no good. Rebound to Smith, out to McCrary. Now Janae Anderson, back to McCrary. DVC with all sorts of time to shoot. 16 seconds on the shot clock. Abdelkader, the left hand, now finds a cross-quarter for Sierra Smith, who drains the 3 from the corner. 31-26. Sierra's got her first 3 of the game. Ball back to Ventura. Just 3-3 on the foul count right now, so nowhere near the whistle pyrotechnics that we had in the first quarter. And the Vikings look set to go to halftime. Oh, look, here comes a three-pointer again from Maciel. And she cuts that lead right back to 2. That one definitely given as a 3. Abdelkader with it, halfway between the half-court stripe and the top of the key. waiting to initiate the offense. 15 to shoot, 2:04 left in the quarter. Amani McCrary holds on the right side now after getting it from Abdelkader. Here comes Anderson off a pick, not able to get free. Gives it up to Abdelkader. 7 to shoot now. Daisha down low looking for Moncrief, looking for the turnaround. Skyhook, too long. And that is going to be it there. The Ventura Pirates secure the rebound. I thought we were going to hear a shot clock violation because she did not get iron. They recovered it before the buzzer sounded. 1:40 to go. Here's Ventura. Kicked out to the left side. Quintino thought about the three. Ooh, dangerous pass to Fallendy, nearly picked off by Sierra Smith. Now back out to Taufasau. 3-second violation given against Ventura as Emma Larson was parked in the painted area, which is actually here not a painted area. It's just a different grain of wood. Their paint is only on the baselines and on the sides of the key. Bright orange. Instead of Christmas in July, we have Halloween in March here. Leilani Moncrief receives at the top of the key from Sierra Smith. Movement coming as they try to free up Janae Anderson. She gets the ball, dribbles into the paint, tries the layup off the right side, underhanded, no good. Probably needed to think about giving a teammate a chance there. They had 2 defenders draped all over her. 65 seconds left to go. Vikings lead by 2. Ventura with the ball. CC Quintino, top of the key, over to the right side for Taufasau. Quintino back to Taufasau. She gets an open 3 as Sierra Smith drifted too long, no good. Ball tipping around down low, and Janae Anderson finally settles it after Maciel and Larson had their chances. Forward to Abdelkader. See if anybody picks her up. 45 seconds left, 20 to shoot for the Vikings. Sierra Smith in control. Smith, top of the key, finds Anderson. Good job by Maciel of sticking to her. Anderson tries a step-back 3. I think Maciel got a piece of that, and it's going to be well short. I hope for Janae's sake that Maciel got a piece of that, because otherwise it was way off. 25 seconds left, 21 to shoot. We've got about a 3.8 second difference between shot and game clocks. Ventura holding. Taufasau, Abdelkader trying to hassle her. Taufasau dribbles through her, gets that around Anderson. Corner 3 from Emma Larson, and Ventura take the lead with 8 seconds left. DVC a chance to take it right back. 5, 4, Abdelkader coming to the edge of the paint. Back to Sierra Smith, bombs the 3 at the buzzer, no good. And so a hotly contested first half ends at the very least with Zaria Hendricks not getting in any more foul trouble, neither Jasmine Kong. They both will enter the second half with 3. They're going to have to be careful in the third quarter for sure. But the Vikings get themselves back into it. They get their head on straight. They get valuable minutes out of Amani McCrary, even though she's not able to score over the course of that second quarter. And they head to the break down a single point. 32-31. We'll be back in about 15 minutes, Vikings fans. And if you're listening in and want to see your boy on TV, head over to the live stream because it looks like I'm going on for a little bit of their halftime show. See you there.
32-31 at the half, and Ventura with a 1-point lead. We are joined by Joe Hickey, who works for Diablo Valley, Marcia Foster, Mike Zepeda, and it's been a back and forth affair, and Ventura getting the better of it, and a lot of that due in part to Zaria Hendricks on the bench with 3 fouls.
For sure. It's been an issue every now and again. I wonder sometimes if she gets the benefit of the doubt at the size she is sometimes on offensive fouls, and she's had a bit of an issue this particular game. We saw it against Delta earlier in our season, and somebody else has to step up. In some of those games, it's been a Daisha Abdelkader or a Sierra Smith. Tonight, so far, it's been Leilani Moncrief.
Yeah, Moncrief has had a terrific first half. I believe she leads all scorers. Let me bring it up here. 12 points to lead everybody. CC Quintino leading the way for Ventura with 10. And terrific execution, Marcia, for the Pirates in the first half. Specifically in the half court, a great ball movement inside out and getting some open threes, and we saw a 4-point play for Larissa Russell, and then just great team play. And what can we expect here in the second half from both teams?
Well, I think Diablo Valley started off attacking the rim, and shots weren't going down, and then they picked up a couple of fouls. And I think, I talked about there's 4 all-state players out on the floor. Yeah. There's a 29-1 record on the line. They feel a pressure, and they're playing on their opponent's home floor. So there's a lot of pressure. I think Ventura slowed the game down, taking the air out of the ball. And so now you're not getting those, because, again, they're averaging in the 80s. You're not getting those opportunities to get up and down the floor. I think we'll see that team from Diablo Valley come out this second half and try to really push the pace. For the state player of the year being on the bench, down 1 point, they're okay.
Yeah, I think you're doing okay. And Joe, you've had a chance to cover a lot of the Vikings this season. Not a lot of close games that they've been in it with good teams up in the north. Maybe a softer schedule, but they did play San Joaquin Delta twice, beat them twice. What did you see down the stretch in those games?
Well, in two of those games, the Sac City playoff and the San Joaquin Delta game that clinched the Big 8 title, Daisha Abdelkader really came alive in the second half. She started driving a lot more. We saw a little of that in the second quarter. In the Delta game, she ended up with 29 points, went off for, I think, 17 in the fourth quarter. So she's certainly a candidate for that sort of thing. We've also generally had better shooting. Janae Anderson's been having a hard time getting loose. She started very strong with those 2 early threes, but has not quite been feeling it since then.
Yeah, 2 of 7 on the day. She does have 6 points, but they need to get her going. But I think if you start sucking in the defense with solid drives, executing in transition, being able to speed up the game, that's going to serve the Vikings well. And I don't expect a lot of that to happen because the Vikings very well coached, and they execute, and they got the better of it in that first half. And we're going to find out in a couple minutes here at the start of the second half. Coming up, it's the Vikings and the Pirates live on SoCal College Sports.com's coverage, the 3C2A basketball championships at State 8.
And welcome back, Vikings fans, to the Ventura College Sportsplex. We're about to get back underway. Zaria Hendricks back out on the floor for DVC with those 3 fouls. She'll be joined by Moncrief, Anderson, Smith, and Abdelkader, the usual suspects. Daisha about to inbound from half court and get us underway. 32-31 our scoreline. So far, the story of that quarter was exactly what I just referenced to you, the foul trouble. Both Hendricks and Kong, 3 fouls picked up by the end of the first quarter. Daisha Abdelkader, meanwhile, scooting in and unable to finish at the rim. Nice bit of work. Moncrief's not quite able to settle the board, and that's going to come back to Ventura. The shooting, more or less a wash from the field. 39% for Ventura, about 34% for DVC. 3-point land hasn't really gone so well for the Vikings. They've gotten 1 out of Sierra, 2 out of Janae early, but they are 3 for 13. Speaking of threes, here comes Sijanovic again for Ventura. No good on the open 3-pointer from the left side. Rebound taken by Moncrief. Fed ahead now to Sierra Smith. Zaria Hendricks from deep, and that is a wedgie. Somebody call the basketball Jones, or the starters as they're now called. That one wedged in, and somebody comes by with one of the squeegees and pokes that out. So a missed 3-pointer. That's going to go back the way of Ventura. DVC handily winning the turnover battle, 11-4. That's almost as many as Ventura usually cough up in an entire game. They've gotten 11 points off those turnovers to 6 for Ventura College. They're not getting crushed on the boards. It is 25-16 as Taufasau drifts back for a jumper. No good. Rebound taken. Moncrief with her 4th block, but it does come back to Ventura again. So no one scored yet here in the opening minute and 6 seconds. Here comes Taufasau again. Kick back to the number 12, Sijanovic. And Sierra Smith picks her pocket. Here goes Sierra coming down the other end, one-on-one. She will lay it up off the left side and put DVC back on top. 3 of 14, those, as we said, from 3-point land, continuing the theme. We thought maybe we were going to break free of it when Janae got 2 of her first 4, but no dice. Also, the other story is free throws. 5 for 7 for Ventura, 2 for 3 for DVC. They just haven't been getting to the line. It's kind of the opposite of the narrative we thought we were going to see in that respect. Nice work by Taufasau to find Merriweather underneath, spins to her left, and lays that one in. Ventura back on top by a point. Zaria Hendricks coming forward. DVC looking to run even off the made basket. Now they'll settle into their half court. Daisha Abdelkader, crossover dribble to try to lose Taufasau. She hits the deck, kicks out to Sierra Smith, and she drains the 3. That's her 2nd make so far. Vikings back up by 2. Looking elsewhere, definitely on blocks and steals. DVC with 4 and 5 of those, and I thought that was the 5th block for Leilani, but I might be wrong. CC Quintino with the jumper from just inside the top of the key. Sierra Smith the other way, lay in with the right hand, no good. Rebound taken down by the 12, Sijanovic. Tied up here, 36-36. A quarter of the quarter gone, 7:30 to go. Looking at individual statistics right now, both Smith and Moncrief now leading all scorers with 12, along with CC Quintino. The Vikings are going to need that extra something from either Zaria before she gets in too much foul trouble, as Leilani Moncrief has committed a foul on a Quintino drive. Or perhaps from an Abdelkader. Both of them sitting on 2 points right now. Anderson's still stuck on the 6 that she earned with those 2 early 3-pointers. She's been 0 for 5 from 3 since then. 0 for 6 overall. Now, on the one hand, the fact that as Quintino makes the first free throw to put Ventura back on top, on the one hand, we've talked about how this contrast of styles. Right now, Ventura seems to be holding control of the speed of this encounter. She makes the second. On some level for DVC, if they can get through this, it might be the best thing for them that they didn't run the way they anticipated doing. Sierra Smith, meanwhile, driving and absorbing contact from Madison Cianovich. She'll go to the line and shoot two. This time able to get just off the hip. Just off the hip of the Arborview High School grad, Las Vegas native Madison Cianovich. Sierra Smith, nice crossover to try to lose a defender. Lays it up, hangs on the rim for about a second and a half, but does finally fall off. LaDacia Merriweather with the board, ahead for Quintino, looking to drive on Moncrief. Moncrief does well to resist it. Kick out to Maciel, not in any position to shoot. With 20 seconds to shoot, Taufasau in control. Trying to work around Abdelkader. Fakes a penetrating drive. Now actually tries to the right side. Picked off again, Sierra Smith. Another steal for number 22. Here comes Sierra down the other end. Lays that up and in. DVC tie it back up at 38. And so despite the attempt to nurse the half-court offense, what we're seeing so far is that Ventura just not able to resist those quick hands. It's now 13 turnovers and 15 points off of them for the Vikings. Dump down low for Merriweather. She hits the deck. The ball's on the deck. And a timeout is called before the tie-up occurs. Coach Vaughn is furious. He says, how can you call that timeout if they don't have possession? And I share that question. That is an interesting thing that just happened there. I will comment no further about it. So we'll take this opportunity here to remind you of how the Vikings got here. We talked earlier about the Pirates' relatively unopposed journey so far. They had yet to face a single-digit seed before this. The Vikings, meanwhile, have obviously faced the 8-team Mission. That's your prize as the 1 seed. And then took on the number 8 Sacramento City. Against Mission, no real problems. It was sloppy. The shooting wasn't great. And as we said, they're shooting right now 34% from the field compared to 43% almost for the year. They're shooting 23% from 3 compared to 35% from there for the year. But they managed to force 42 Mission turnovers, and that took care of business in the first round. Second round was a great deal more competitive. 54-50 was your final score there. And in that game, the Vikings got some big play down the stretch from Daisha Abdelkader and a pair of clutch shots from Anderson. And as Quintino tries a three-pointer from a good 3 feet behind the line, she misses that wide left. DVC with the board. But Janae Anderson, after having only hit 1 3-pointer on, I believe, 7 shots to that point, hit a clutch jumper from inside the arc. Zaria Hendricks, good turnaround. Shrive goes to the hoop, absorbs contact. She'll be headed to the line, but she can't get it to fall. That'll be the 3rd foul on LaDacia Merriweather. And so Ventura, at long last, with somebody in the same kind of foul trouble that the Vikings currently have. We were saying, though, Janae Anderson with that clutch jumper from just inside the arc. One of only 2 shots she made, but it was the eventual game winner. It was the one that made it 52-50. And then the kill shot came from Zaria Hendricks. Played a little bit of hero ball. She's missed the first free throw in the meanwhile. A little bit of hero ball as she held the rock, let the shot clock drain down, and then drove to the left side. Apparently, LaDacia Merriweather is headed to the bench. I don't know if there was something else that occurred that we didn't catch right there. Perhaps no evidence of attack or anything like that. It's a bit of a flurry of activity over to my right at the SoCal College Sports desk. Hendricks makes the second one. That one took the scenic route, touched every part of the rim, but it does drop down. 39-38, Vikings back on top a little over 4 minutes into the third quarter. Hendricks with that kill shot in that game. She's got 3 so far tonight, as many points as fouls. She had a bit of an off game against San Joaquin Delta as well back in the past. Oh, here comes an opportunity, and it's Taufasau shooting a contested three-pointer. Abdelkader got there, but it doesn't matter. That drains. 41-39. Smith at the other end, fed for 3. She knocks it down, and DVC answer right back. 42-41. Your reset at the moment, by the way, Vikings with the possession arrow, 4 timeouts left per team, 2 team fouls on the Ventura side, just 1 so far for DVC, which is great listening for us. With a thin roster, you cannot afford to foul quite so much. Sierra Smith has tied up the defender, so that's going to be a turnover. It's going to give the ball back to DVC. I think she thought that it was a travel and also thought that there was some warding off going on there, but looked for a moment to be her 3rd pick of the pocket of a Ventura player in the span of about 3 minutes. Sierra Smith so far coming up big for DVC. Ooh, that pass a little off target from Sierra. Janae able to corral it, though, thankfully. And now she runs over to the left corner, hoping to be fed. Good work by the Ventura defense to stay with her, however. Now dropped back, heavily contested by the number 2, Taufasau, and she will commit a foul against Janae. That's 3 team fouls now on Ventura. You'd love to put Anderson at the line, but we won't get to just yet. She'll inbound, though, to Sierra Smith with a fresh 30. DVC in the half-court set, 4:36 to go in the quarter. Comes the cut from Hendricks. Sierra dribbles into the vacated space, shoots a little bit short. Corralled by Quintino, but her foot ends up on the line as she tried to save it out of bounds. And you've always got to be very careful anyway, trying to save a ball under your own basket. I mean, you're almost inviting it to become an assist unintentionally to the wrong team. Not sure what the Ventura fans are upset about, if they thought that she didn't step on the line or if they think that she was fouled as she tried to corral that. At any rate, DVC inbound it. They've got 13 to shoot right now. Advocator with the ball in her hands, top of the key. Shot clock did not reset because Smith's jumper earlier did not touch anything. Advocator with 5 to shoot. Now tries to take Taufasau on the dribble. Goes in, blocked by the number 25, Robin Fallendy, one of the few elements of size on this team right now for Coach Mercedic. 6'1" freshman out of Ventura High. Local product, and she makes a big impact right there. Leilani Moncrief absorbing contact. No foul given either way as Quintino crashes into her. Leilani ends up with a steal. Sierra Smith to Janae Anderson. Back to Zaria. Fakes the three-pointer. Now she's looking to drive on the right side. Tries to dump it down low for Moncrief, but Fallendy intercepts. It was a good idea. Zaria had managed to get great position. She thought, I think, that she'd taken Fallendy away from Moncrief and was going to give Leilani an open look there. Leilani, by the way, 6 for 11. She's yet to take a shot in the second half. Sierra Smith, meanwhile, now 6 for 14, but 3 for 5 from distance. She's been dialing it up. Little congestion at the top of the key. Advocator, Moncrief, Fallendy, and Taufasau. Now it's a kick out over to the right side. Larson, corner 3, no good. Moncrief battling for the rebound, and now it's Hendricks' turn to step on the line by accident. We'll see if that pans out here on the replay. Oh, boy, maybe a toenail. That was awfully close. Inbound taken now and blocked by Zaria. Leilani comes down with the board. She's got Zaria on her back. DVC a little bit out of sorts for a moment there, but Sierra Smith will settle. Coach Vaughn says she has the highest basketball IQ of any player he's ever coached. Anderson fed for 3. Off target, wide right. Moncrief gets the board. Blocked on the first attempt at a putback. Second one won't go. And it stays a 1-point game. 2:48 left in the third. Hotly contested right here. Any gap in quality that might have existed between these teams more than compensated for by a little bit of foul trouble and a very loud crowd. Trying to drive is Taufasau, unable to get it through. Zaria Hendricks, the board, maybe even got a piece of that shot. She dribbles over to the left side three-point arc. Now kicks to the right corner. Abdelkader, the 3, a little short. And warding off, my goodness, a heck of a tangle between Anderson and Maciel. The board comes to Taufasau. Anderson didn't look happy about that. I think she felt she was almost being warded off and walled off by the body of Victoria Maciel. Taufasau trying to work around a pick. Abdelkader commits a foul on the floor. Second team foul of the quarter against DVC. 2 minutes, 7 seconds left, so it does not appear the bonus is going to come into much effect here. A whistle as Ventura tried to inbound quickly. Apparently have an official timeout down at the other end for some reason. Oh dear. So some manner of emergency here in the arena has taken place. So Wendy Holt, who's made the trip down here from DVC, apparently is going to help out. But we've had some sort of emergency and a need to stop play for a moment while a fan is tended to. It's one of the Ventura College staff that actually stepped out onto the floor from the wrong side, and it didn't feel wrong for me at first because I'm used to being on the player bench side, sitting down by the scorer's table, and he came from just to our right and signaled a timeout, and so the officials have taken it. And so in the meanwhile, we'll take a moment here to, maybe to refresh your memory of what the trivia question was going to be. So we'll give this another try here. Feel free again to comment the answer if you happen to know it. Well, here comes the stretcher out onto the floor. Goodness. I think we'll go ahead and take a break here. We'll do trivia later on after things have been worked out at the Ventura College Sportsplex, but we are in a hold at the moment as they tend to an emergency with 2 minutes and 7 seconds left and a 42-41 DVC lead. We'll be right back. So it seems now with the stretcher having been taken over to the underground hallway at floor level over on the left side from our vantage point that we are going to get back underway in just a moment with basketball. Unclear what the emergency exactly is, but somebody needs to be wheeled out of here and ostensibly taken to a hospital. So we don't know exactly who, but we have them in our thoughts. The teams splay back out onto the floor to get going again. As we told you just before we took that short break, 2:07 to go here in the third quarter. Vikings lead by a point over the number 4 seed from the South, Ventura, the home standing team as it has worked out. They are the hosts of this tourney. Another block for Leilani Moncrief, but it's given as a foul, and Leilani is clearly nonplussed. DVC coaching staff also not thrilled with it. Leilani needs to watch out. There's a little bit of sarcastic clapping that's happening there that could easily get you teed up, and the Vikings at this point cannot afford to give away any points. But LaDacia Merriweather is going to go to the line and shoot. She hits her first one. Merriweather, a 51% free throw shooter on the season. Moncrief picking up a foul. That appears to be personal number 3 on Moncrief. So she'll want to get through the next 2 minutes without accruing any further ones. Luckily, as we've seen here, we haven't seen any of Jasmine Kong in this third quarter. Zaria Hendricks has not picked up another foul at this point. We hope she can maintain that to go into the fourth. Sierra Smith, pull-up jumper from the left elbow, no good. Tipped away by a Ventura player. That's going to go out and be DVC ball. Fresh 30 for the Vikings, 1:46 to go in the quarter. So far, the story on the Ventura end has been that they've managed to own the tempo. It's 42-42, not the sort of high-flying, high-scoring game that the Vikings have gotten accustomed to. They've gotten 14 points out of Cece Quintino, freshman out of Liberty from Las Vegas. Daisha Advocator almost picked by her own player, now dishes to Zaria Hendricks, and she hits a corner 3 from the left side. 45-42 Vikings. Big Z doubles her scoring output for the day. She's got 6. San Quintino with 14, Maciel with a couple of deep threes. Sierra Smith has owned this third quarter with 17. Feeling a little bad that when I went over to talk to the folks at SoCal College Sports, I didn't think of Sierra as the person that might be the one to wake up and drive DVC. Here's an errant pass thrown into the back court, and that is going to be an over and back. DVC will get the ball back with 1:06 left in the quarter. Good defense on the right side by Hendricks and Abdelkader to hassle and force Ventura to throw a wild pass. Sierra Smith in control. She's got 17 tonight to lead all scorers. She's hit 3 threes in this quarter. 2 threes in this quarter. She got one in the second as well. Abdelkader attempts a 3, short. But it will certainly give DVC a chance for another possession in a moment. 45 seconds left, 21 to shoot for Ventura, as they almost don't get across the half-court line by the 10-second mark. Just a little lackadaisical as they're trying to take time off the clock. Sierra Smith doing well to stay with Quintino. She throws it up off glass, no good. Moncrief the board. That may actually end up being given to Zaria Hendricks. 26 seconds to go, about a 0.8 second difference between shot and game clock. Vikings will hold for a final shot. Maybe Ventura will get a chance at a half quarter. Sierra Smith on it, 15 to shoot. She now fakes the drive, kicks out to Moncrief. No danger of her shooting a three, although she has tried once today. Now she finds Hendricks on the handoff, just a little short. Ball taken here with 5 seconds to go, and here goes Ventura. It's Taufasau at the half-court stripe. 2-1, throws up a runner prayer. No good, and a foul called against her. Oh, dear. Why, oh, why, oh, why. With 0.1 second to go. Thankfully, it's judged to have been on the floor. And so it will not have any further consequence for DVC in that respect. The big problem is it's number 4 on Daisha Abdelkader. And so the Vikings are going to go into the fourth quarter with Moncrief, Hendricks, and Kong all on 3. And their point guard on 4. One of the sources of their tenacity, according to Coach Vaughn. Basically, in his mind, where it all starts. They put 0.3 back on the clock. So they will throw it in. Brought over here, they try a volleyball set for number 3, CC Quintino. I think she wanted a foul as well, which would have added insult to injury. But anyway, it is 45-42. The Vikings ahead by 3 as we head to the fourth quarter. I'm going to take this moment here to take a look at the trivia question that I threatened to talk about during the emergency delay and then thought would have been a little gauche. But the trivia question that we asked you at the first quarter break was this. What is the last DVC sports team to make a state final? The Vikings here, if they can hold on to this for the next 10 minutes, will be one step away from that. There are 2 reasonable answers for this, depending on what you think a state final is. Technically speaking, it's the men's cross-country team this past fall, as they qualified for the state final run down in Fresno at Woodward Park. However, as far as I'm concerned, that's kind of a little more like making the playoff field, as that is essentially what you get to do. They don't invite 2 teams, they invite, I believe, about 20. And so that feels a little more like making the playoff field, to be perfectly honest. So the alternative answer, if you're like me and you think of a state final as being a 2-team battle that is arrived at through a bracket, the answer to that would be a game that took place right here about 2.5 years ago between DVC and Cerritos in women's soccer. It was Coach Colleen Mullen's 2016 women's Vikings that went 18-6-2 that season. 18 wins, 6 draws, 2 losses. And they took the then 5-time defending champion Cerritos all the way to extra time. There was actually a point in that season where they went 668 minutes without conceding a goal from open play from about the third to last game of the regular season up through the 97th minute of the state final. There was a penalty kick and a free kick goal, but nothing from open play. So just a nice chance to get the warm fuzzies as that took place at the football field here at Ventura. Like those Vikings, this team is having to play a bit of a hostile environment sort of game in the first round. The Vikings in that semifinal faced off against Santa Barbara, which was geographically the closest team to the tournament. It's an opportunity here as Sijanovic guides one over the outstretched hands of Leilani Moncrief, who, as we said before, is sitting right now on 12 boards and I believe 5 blocks. Sierra Smith pulls up for a jumper from the low post, unable to hit. And so it's a 1-point game right now. By the way, for those of you that had a bet on whether I could get through a live stream without talking about soccer, I hope you betted that I would. Ball kicked out to Quintino. That one rolls around the hoop as she shoots from the left elbow. No good. 9 minutes to go in the third of 4 state quarterfinals today. Sierra Smith out to Abdelkader. Working now, crossover, trying to beat Maciel. Now kicks out to Smith, all alone, top of the key. And she drains her 4th 3-pointer and 3rd of the second half. Sierra's got 20. We said before, it can come from anywhere. Abdelkader has had massive games. Janae Anderson has hung 50 on a team. Sijanovic attempting a 3. She banks that one in and makes it a 1-point game again, answering Sierra Smith. Madison Sijanovic has 7. DVC working over in the half court now. Hendricks back to Smith at the top of the key. Looks to take Sijanovic on the crossover. Spin move to the right, lays it in off glass. 50-47, Sierra Smith with 22. And she is taken over. Victoria Maciel in control right now at the right side of the 3-point arc. Quickly worked around the perimeter to Taufasau. Not a lot of movement off ball for Ventura, but they do give it to Maciel. She tries a three, too long. Abdelkader the board. And the Vikings look to press forward. Foul trouble, the great equalizer, but DVC have weathered it. Zaria Hendricks, a little Euro step and a lay-in. And she's got another bucket. She's got 8 so far tonight. The NorCal Player of the Year, 52-47. I think Coach Ned Mercetic wants a timeout. Nope. Perhaps. Oh, no, just a substitution. So Sijanovic will leave. Larson will come in. It is Larson, Maciel, Taufasau, Quintino, and Merriweather, the starters, out on the floor. Same for the Vikings. Abdelkader, Moncrief, Anderson, Hendricks, and Sierra Smith. And now it's time for a timeout. So recent history in the postseason for these two teams is illustrious on one end and burgeoning on the other. For Ventura College, we mentioned in the beginning that they have got 7 state titles. All of them have come since 1996. We're actually looking around the arena at the banners. The men's team won in 51, 52, 87, and 95. The next year, the women's team won, and they rattled off 5 of the next 7. 96, 97, 2000, 01, 02. They won it again in 2010. They won it again in 2014. And so on some level, they might feel like they're due again. But they've got those 7 titles. The one piece of history that probably made me the most disconcerted coming into this game is their 9-1 record in State Elite 8 games. Every time of the 10 times they've made the State Elite 8, they're 9-1 in those games. This is their 11th time in the State Elite 8 since the turn of the century. They've made the Final Four in 03, 09, 12, and 17 to go along with those years when they won the title altogether. Interestingly for Ventura, when they've gone to the Final Four, they've never made a semifinal that they then lost. That's an interesting thing looking at their history there. The Vikings, by contrast, as we said, have been knocking on the door of this round for the last 4 years. They were in the Elite 8 in 2015 and 2016 and lost by very small margins on the road. And then when the tournament expanded to be 8 teams, as we're back underway here, they lost in the Sweet 16 2 years in a row. This year they finally made the State 8 tournament, but they are still looking for that first Final Four. Shot is short from Ventura College. Janae Anderson, the board, as she stuck out the lower part of her body to make sure that she guarded that off. Here's Sierra Smith driving to the hoop from the top of the key. Got a head of steam, absorbed contact. She's headed to the line again, 52-47. An opportunity to add to those 22 points she has so far on the among the other players of note right now for DVC. 12-12 on points and boards right now for Leilani Moncrief. 2 points but 9 assists for Daisha Abdelkader. We finally get a little bit of that attempt at a screen here from Ventura. It continues to surprise me how little attempts to bother DVC free throw shooters I've heard from what is the home crowd. Sierra Smith misses both of them on this trip, which, as we said, is unusual for her. She was 2 for 2 from the line going into that trip. Vikings get nothing that time around from a fantastic drive. Dumped down low for Merriweather by Quintino. Busy hands of Janae Anderson. They've taken the ball away again, and she does finally manage to settle it. Ahead now to Zaria Hendricks. She drives, and that is a blocking foul this time around. Thank heavens. My heart went to my throat because that looked an awful lot like what we saw back in the second quarter, maybe even late in the first, down at this end when Zaria picked up foul number 3. She often does not get the benefit of the doubt because of her size when it's a coin flip between charge and blocking foul. That time around, given as a block. It's been charged to the number 13, which is Emma Larson. And Zaria hits the first. Second one rims out, taken by LaDacia Merriweather. DVC up 6 with 6:50 to go. It is Taufasau on the ball, now Maciel over on the right side. Vikings moving in their zone defense, not playing with the kind of fury we've seen. I think they realize they might not have to. It would be nice to save energy if they do make it to a state semifinal. Here's Victoria Maciel for 3. Never mind all that talk. She's just cut the Vikings advantage in half, 53-50. Vikings in control on the offensive end. It's Daisha Abdelkader on it. Over to the right side for Sierra Smith. goodness, here. Hitting the deck is Leilani Moncrief. Foul given against Ventura College. It's Emma Larson. She's picked up her fourth now. So that could end up being a problem for Ventura. She's been a bit of a super sub as of late. Started most of the season, but came off the bench against Irvine Valley, although she came off the bench in this one about a minute in. Here comes the toss into the backcourt as DVC have a fresh 30, Sierra Smith on it. Not quite the backcourt, but definitely the half court for a moment there. Larson's given them 13.5 off the bench so far in this 3C2A tournament. Ball dumped down low to Hendricks. Immediate refeed to Sierra Smith. Thought about the corner three. Nope. Now back to Leilani Moncrief at the right elbow. In and out. The rebound comes to Sierra Smith. She looked it down. A foul committed by... Oh, I got really excited for a second. That is actually number 3, Cece Quintino. I thought I was looking at 13. We'll see it here for a second. Quintino nearly had that board. Sierra got it after it took one big bounce. Quintino wiped her out over at the baseline. That's just the first foul somehow against Cece Quintino. As busy as she's been, she's managed not to run afoul of Johnny Law so far. Here's the inbound to Janae Anderson. Fresh 30 for the Vikings. 5:41 to go. A berth in the Final Four on the line. It would be DVC's first. Daisha Abdelkader dribbles, penetrates. Corner three now for Hendricks on the kick out. No good. Rebound comes all the way out to LaDaisha Merriweather. She may not have had to save that one, as I don't think anybody had touched it. So she made her life interesting, but it is corralled by Ventura. Taufasau on the ball. 3-point Viking lead. Quintino back to Taufasau. Maciel maybe thinking about a three again. She's hit a bunch of big ones. Now out. No, it's Taufasau on the three. No good. Quintino grabs the rebound. That one went quite a ways. Back to Maciel. Fresh 30. Taufasau. Thought she might have been running into a three. Maciel, back to Quintino. Now down low to Merriweather. She tries to dump it low for Sijanovic. She goes for the high layup off glass, and it's a 1-point game. Sijanovic with 8, Maciel with 11, Quintino with 14. It's not a high-scoring game, but they're getting it from all over. For the Vikings, it's 22 right now for Smith, 12 for Moncrief, 9 for a burgeoning Zaria Hendricks. Abdelkader driving. She has it blocked, but it's going to go out and stay with the Vikings. 16 seconds to shoot, 4:38 to go. Vikings still owning the turnover battle, 17-5, but the rebounds are starting to catch up to them. 39-30. The ball down low. Zaria Hendricks, what an acrobatic move with the left hand. A little English on it, puts it in off glass. Turned her left arm into a high-lie stick for a second there. She's got 11 and is in double figures now to join Moncrief and Smith. 55-52. Best game of the day so far here, after Merced and Delta gave the North the first 2 wins of the afternoon. Working around the perimeter. Taufasau now driving. Dumps down low to Sijanovic. Here comes Smith, but her contest is not going to do any good. 55-54. 4 minutes to go. The 1 seed being given everything they can handle. Zaria Hendricks driving. Up with the right hand. Hanging on the rim. No good. Hendricks ends up on the ground. Foul on the floor. Let's see who it's on. Judging by the boos, I think on somebody wearing black. Looks like Leilani Moncrief was shoved underneath. That is the 5th team foul on Ventura, and I apologize for not letting you know that this story was developing. DVC yet to commit a foul through 6 minutes and 12 seconds of the fourth quarter. That's 5 for Ventura, and Moncrief is at the line to shoot 2 on the 4th foul of the night for Daisha Merriweather. Moncrief hits the first. Clearly has been working on that. She's 0 for 3 shooting in the second half, after leading all scorers with 12 points in the first. She's at the line with a chance to make this a 3-point game. Gets them both. Ice-cold Leilani. Just a 60% free throw shooter on the season, but against Sac City and here tonight, she has gotten them when they've counted. 14 for Moncrief, the sophomore out of Moreau Catholic. DVC lead by 3, 3:35 to go. Ball down into the right post for Sijanovic. She's gotten some good work from there. Lays it up with the outstretched left arm. Almost underhand. Can't get it to fall. Vikings get the board. Abdelkader coming forward. It is DVC's starting 5 out there right now. Abdelkader coming through. Drives. Kicks. Anderson. No good. Moncrief coming in for the board, not going to be able to get it, and she actually trips and stumbles into CC Quintino, and that's going to be a fourth on Leilani. Ventura have made DVC play their game. And the Vikings are about 200 or so seconds away from getting the job done anyway. But they do have 3 minutes and 14 seconds left to sweat out, 57-54. Substitution made, Emma Larson with 4 fouls back into the encounter. She's had 5 points, 2 of 4 shooting, 1 3-pointer made. Also contributed 5 boards. Not quite the kind of performance she had in the first 2 rounds. Admittedly, the level of opposition has risen steeply. 3 minutes to go. Taufasau in possession. Ventura a chance to tie it this trip down. Worked over to the corner for the number 3, CC Quintino. Quintino kicks to Fallendy, who just came in. She shoots a jumper from LaMarcus Aldridge range on the right baseline. No good. Rebound comes to Smith. Abdelkader. Hard pass to the left corner for Anderson. She's got too much contest coming from Larson and elects not to shoot. DVC will work a little clock. 20 to shoot, now 18. Smith, back to Anderson in the left corner. Dump down low to Moncrief, looks to work on Fallendy, lays it up off the left side of the glass, no good. Ball back to Ventura, who come forward with Taufasau, Quintino, Fallendy, 3-pointer coming from the left side from Quintino, no good. Zaria Hendricks gets it. Larson, Maciel, Taufasau, Fallendy, and Quintino. The lineup right now for Ventura. Vikings in control, approaching the 2 minutes to play mark. 57-54 to the green and white. Daisha Abdelkader working around the Zaria Hendricks pick. Dribbles to the left side of the paint. Now directly underneath. Blocked by Quintino as she tries to lay it in after a spin move. Ventura another chance to tie it with 1:48 to go. And the roof might come off of this place. The 3-pointer from Larson. Back iron from the right corner. Ball tipped away. Smith saves it out of bounds to Hendricks and flies into a photographer. DVC get the ball back. Hendricks coming down the other end. Ends up at the left baseline. Kick out. Open 3. Smith. Back iron. Recovered again, and here's another chance for Ventura to tie it. Taufasau brings it down. 80 seconds to go. A 1-possession game in the quarterfinals. Taufasau drives on Moncrief. Lays it up, and it will fall. 57-56. 1:10 to go. Hendricks, forward for Abdelkader, catches nicely, kicks to Anderson, open 3, no good. Anderson has not hit one since the opening 3 minutes. And Ventura could take the lead this trip down, 55 seconds. We'll see if they want to use one of those 4 timeouts. Appears not. Taufasau in possession. 47 seconds to go, 14 to shoot for Talia Taufasau. Working on Smith. Hand off to Quintino. Good work by Smith on the defensive end. Quintino ends up on the deck. Ball tipped away. Moncrief the steal. Comes to Janae Anderson, and a foul as Moncrief is toppled over. And if that's Emma Larson, she's gone. We will see who that's against. It is Emma Larson, and she is done for the night with 34.6 seconds left. Moncrief will head to the line to try to make it a 3-point game. Deep, deep breaths, Leilani. The sophomore from Hayward, looking to extend her career. Excuse me, no, the foul was actually against Janae Anderson, and that is an incredibly big difference. No offense to Leilani. She's been doing great as of late, shooting 60%. But Leilani shoots 79% from the line. I'm sorry, excuse me, Janae rather. Anderson, the one who absorbed contact there, she will shoot 2. Gets the first. 58-56. 35 seconds left. DVC, 1-team foul. Ventura already well over the bonus and just lost one of their players to their 5th. Plenty of timeouts on either side. Anderson shoots the second, gets both of them. 59-56, the Vikings again make it a full 1-possession game, and it's time for a timeout. This is about as close as DVC have been, ladies and gentlemen, to that Final Four berth. We mentioned beforehand that in 2015, they went down to Hayward, home of Leilani Moncrief, and took on Chabot College. That Chabot team eventually won the state title. The Vikings were down 12 with about a minute and a half to go in that one, but a series of steals, some well-managed clock, and a couple of 3-pointers brought them within 3. And after a missed free throw at the other end by Chabot, Brianna Ford had a chance to shoot for the game. It was admittedly about a 35-footer, but it rimmed out. All of us kind of felt like somebody had punched us in the stomach up there in the stands. And my view right now is not dissimilar to that. From about the same place where I watched that game, the Vikings looking to exercise those demons, and wouldn't it be fun if it was a player from Hayward that was responsible for a good piece of it. But of course, we also cannot downplay the contribution from Sierra Smith. The freshman guard out of Salesian from Richmond has been an absolute monster in the third quarter. She's got 22 points tonight, almost all of that coming in the second half. She's gone 4 for 7 from 3. Janae Anderson threw in points early. She's got 8 tonight, 6 of those coming in the first couple of minutes. Zaria Hendricks has navigated foul trouble. She's still on 3 fouls. She collected all 3 of those in the first 9 minutes. We're now in minute number 39. She's done well to manage her aggression. So has Daisha Abdelkader after she picked up number 4 just before the beginning of the fourth quarter. And the Vikings have 34.6 seconds to get gone to extend their season and get a first ever berth in the Final Four. The inbound comes to LaDaisha Merriweather. She'll drop that off to Taufasau. She drives. No good, but she absorbs contact, and that is number 5 on Abdelkader. And so the Vikings are going to have to get home without Daisha, which hurts because she is one of their better free throw shooters at 70%. They still have Anderson. They still have Smith out there, who are 2 of the best ones that you'll find. Taufasau's first free throw is drained. 2-point game, 30.4 seconds left. 2 players have fouled out. Vikings now with 2 team fouls, so Ventura's still nowhere near the bonus, and they're going to take a timeout themselves. I'll remind you, though, the story, for those of you that are listening in for the very first time. Coming into this year, DVC had lost 4 all-conference players, 2 of them all-state, as a result of doing exactly what you want your program to do, which is get them scholarships and get them moving on to the next level. That is what Coach Ramaundo, Vaughn, and DVC are all about. He said it himself. He's intense, he's abrasive, he's brutally honest. It's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows, but at the end of the year, I'm going to fight for you and make sure you've got somewhere to go. Well, he made sure a lot of them had somewhere to go last year. And as a result, they came in down 2 All-Staters, 4 All-Conference players, and the NorCal Player of the Year. Coach Vaughn hoped for a 500 season. Just didn't want to break that string that he had going back to his second year. DVC are 30.4 seconds away from going 31-1 and advancing to a Final Four. Taufasau misses the second. It's a tie-up underneath. Ventura get the rebound. Maciel back to Taufasau. 25 seconds left. There's a half-second difference between shot and game clock. Ventura could tie it or win it. Taufasau dribbling around Sierra Smith. Beautiful defense from the number 22. And a timeout taken by Ventura. The clock gets all the way down to 13 seconds. 12.9 if we're being specific. 13 listed on the shot clock. Timeout taken by Ventura. It is getting loud and restless in here. They are going to have a chance to shoot for either overtime or the win. We said, though, Coach Vaughn told us that he underestimated this team. He had to tell them that he underestimated this team. Their tenacity, their toughness, their willingness to fight for each other. Said he's never had a team that loved each other like this one does, that plays for each other, that polices each other the way this one does. They hold each other accountable. They accept it from each other. It's not the most talented DVC team in history, but the chemistry is through the roof, and as a chemistry professor, I can appreciate that. They need to play lockdown defense, show that tenacity and toughness for 13 more seconds. Taufasau, the inbound. Merriweather behind the arc. Back to Quintino. 10 seconds. They're waiting on a cut. Taufasau from inside the paint. Off balance runner. No good. Rebound taken by Merriweather. Throws it up off the top of the backboard. Back iron. And it's out of bounds. It hit the top of the backboard. And with 1 second left, it's DVC ball. They're having a conversation. The Ventura fans think that the referee got that wrong. She insists. She gives DVC possession. And with not a little bit of controversy, this game might be about to end. Ramaundo Vaughn wants a timeout. Coach Vaughn has asked for a timeout, but LaDaisha Merriweather, after getting the rebound from Taufasau's circus shot, laid it way up in the air. It took a bounce off of back iron and hit the top of the backboard and bounced back. The referee said that means the ball goes over to DVC. And if that holds, the Vikings just need to inbound it and run for 1 second. The referee's still talking about it. We will see what's going to happen. To be honest, the thing that worries me is if they were to reverse field, it is an optimal chance for Ventura to inbound, fire up a 3, and potentially break our hearts. If they were to attempt that, as we said before, Taufasau, Quintino, and Sijanovic seem to be the most likely suspects, although it's really been Victoria Maciel, 3 for 6 from three-point land tonight. That would be the one that, based on really recent history, you would expect to try it. If they do just go for a 2, they could tie it. But the first thing they're going to need to do, based on all of this, is foul DVC. Send them to the line and hope the Vikings don't drain both of them. Now we have Ventura taking a timeout. Longest second of my life. And we'll see if it continues that way. We'll see if I get more seconds like this. Again, the Vikings in the bonus. So unlike the situation with Sacramento City, no opportunity here for... no opportunity at all here for DVC to run out clock just because they would have to foul multiple times. I don't know if you listened to the Sac City game, but in that one, the Panthers had only committed 2 fouls in the entire period. DVC used the full timeout. They advanced the ball to half court. Zaria Hendricks will throw it in. My goodness. One of the Ventura players falls to the ground in front of Leilani Moncrief. Leilani insists, I didn't touch anybody. That looks like a little bit of gamesmanship. I'd love to see if they have a replay of that. Nope, camera didn't get there in time to see Cici Quintino throw herself down at the feet of Leilani Moncrief. Here comes the inbound, 1 second to go. They get it to Sierra Smith, the clock runs, and the Vikings are going to the Final Four. We gave you 2 scenarios at the beginning of this game, dear listeners. We told you either DVC was going to run and gun and run away with it because Ventura couldn't keep up with the shooting and the pace, or Ventura was going to make them sweat, make free throws, avoid turnovers, and make our lives difficult. We got the latter scenario. DVC have navigated it anyway. They had played a total of 4 games decided by less than 10 points. In the entire regular season, they played a 4-point game and a 2-point game in the last 2 rounds. And the opposition only gets harder. We will be seeing San Joaquin Delta in the next round. I don't know if I ever got a chance to tell you about that. It's been such a pulsating game this entire time. But the next adversary tomorrow night, either at 5 p.m. or at 6 p.m., we do not know just yet. I think it depends on the result of this final matchup of the evening between Sequoias and Moore Park. But at some point tomorrow night, 5 or 7 p.m., it'll be DVC Delta, an all Big 8 encounter to decide one of the 2 participants in the 3C2A state final. And I am positively jazzed about it, Vikings fans. I can't wait. Keep an eye on at DVC_athletics Twitter, at Joe Paul Hick on Twitter as well. That's my account. And at DVCVikings.com, your source for all things green and white, to see when this thing is going to take place. But we know the combatants. We just need the time. We'll see you right back here on DVC Vikings Live Radio on Mixler.com and the Mixler Live app.